Hello, this is Jaromir again. And I will show you today what will happen if you will lose one operating system from 4-node cluster, 4-node S2D cluster, and also what will happen if you lose all OSs in your 4-node S2D cluster. So we will start with WS 2016 lab scenario. Basically the very same scenario as a hyperconverged. But what I will do, I will start everything from scratch. So I will configure lab config, I will modify it. Let me just open up the lab config itself, replace the text, which is already replaced, but I will explain you what's here. So there are 4 nodes as you know it. There is one new OS for the node 1, and there are also 4 nodes for the new S2D machines, right? So this one is for the one node OS replacement, and these 4 nodes will be for all nodes, for OSs for all nodes replacement. So basically I will have VHD, so I will just switch VHD instead of the reinstalling entire operating system. So it will be much easier now for me. So I'll save it. What I will do, I will just right click on the deploy, run with PowerShell, and wait for a lab to be deployed. I will now pause the recording and get back when it's finished. So as you can see, the script just finished. It took 7.2 minutes. The next step will be to log in into the domain controller and also to start the S2D1 to S2D4. The next steps you are very familiar with, but let's repeat it. We will just deploy 4-node S2D hyperconverged cluster. So let's log in into the DC. Okay. The password is very well known. It's the same one as it's on the lab config. You have to wait for machines to start, but we will in meanwhile copy the S2D hyperconverged scenario script. Which is in here. Let's go into the row, copy it, and paste it into the PowerShell ISE, just to be able to easily edit it. I will also open Windows PowerShell as an administrator, just to have place where to place scripts. So PowerShell ISE is now hopefully starting. So let me paste the script and hit Ctrl M. The Ctrl M will help you to collapse the sections, and now you can, easily see what's actually happening. What I will do, I'll just select everything. I also like this in the end, so let me just copy everything. And once the machines are started, I'll just paste it into the Elevate with PowerShell. To validate if the machines are really started or not, it's best to watch these small windows. And also you can double check if everything is okay by adding the machines in the server manager. We should see it already here, because after first boot it identified itself to the Active Directory and provided information that it's Windows Server 2016 data center. But we will wait for machines to boot, and then I will paste the script. I will now pause the recording and do this for you, and I will come back when the 4-node cluster will be configured. Script now finished, and it took 34 minutes. So now we have a complete cluster. Let's take a look. Let's open up the failover cluster manager. Connect to cluster. And as you can see, there are several VMs created. There are 4 nodes up and running. There's a storage. There are several disks created. On each disk there are 3 VMs. Therefore, there are VMs called mirror 1 and up to mirror 3, mirror 1 and mirror 2, mirror 3. And also you can see here pool, and the pool has a physical disks here. So let's go and turn off one node to simulate OS failure. So let's run from the host this command. Okay, let me open up the PowerShell. And here we go. You will turn off first VM, and this will result in one node failing in S2D cluster, and also it will move disks to a different node. Also, what you will be able to see is we will see missing disks in the pool. So what we will do now is we will replace this node's operating system with this one. So let's do it with a script. As we will validate now, the OS is changed. So now there is a OS drive called S2D1 new OS, and it is now booting. So this is like we would reinstall the entire operating system in the node. So this is basically the same result. The new name of the VM will be S2D1 new OS. So while machine is booting on the DC, what I'll do, I will modify this script. And what I will need to do is in the lab config, I'll need to add one line. This one line will specify this server new OS. So effectively, I'll be configuring only one server. So once the machine is started, should be visible here, I'll be able to execute first 4 lines where I will configure the basic setting on the server and also the networking as it was. Since machine is still starting, I will have to wait a little bit. To validate the machine started, you can also add it here into the server manager. It's still adding it, still not visible. Now it's okay. It has 2 IP addresses. Looks like the machine is already started. Since it started, we can now continue with the script and run this piece of code to configure this first node. The only thing you have to do is to paste it into the PowerShell. Just to remember, you need to modify the variable service to be able to configure only one machine. So I'll just copy it and paste it. This will take some time, so what I will do, I will pause the recording now. So the node configuration just finished. So let's double check. New OS, yeah, it has its own IP addresses. So it probably has also set switch and everything. So the next step will be to add this node into the cluster. So let's follow the guide. Let's copy these 3 lines. One will add cluster node and the second will... Oh, I'm running it from the wrong window, right? So this will fail, so let me just clean screen. I will paste it into the PowerShell running here inside the domain controller. So let me copy it again. 3 lines, I mean 2 lines, and one is just one line is just to have a new line, so the second line will be executed. So add cluster node. We should see it in here that a new node is being added. And right after the node will be added, the first node will be removed. What we should also see is in the pool that the missing disks will go to the OK state. So first thing, we have to wait for the node to be up. Come on, where are you? Okay, it's now happening. The node's appearing here, is joining the cluster. We should see soon that disks will go from missing to OK. And here we go. So our nodes are OK and healthy. We will remove S2D1. The thing is, this node doesn't have site. So this is just a cosmetic thing because we are not using full domains for the disks. So the resilience is now to set to the node itself. We call it storage scale unit. So now it's set to storage scale unit. So these are just cosmetic. So it's more like a description where is what. So what we can do, we can modify it and fix it. And as you can see, everything is fixed now. So the next step will be to simulate all nodes OS failure. So what we will do, we will stop all the VMs to simulate some really bad situation where a cluster just suddenly power off and refuses to start. Because we will corrupt this operating system, for example. So what we'll do now is we will change the VHDs for the operating system from its original ones. So here is S2D1 new OS, but here is S2D1, or S2D2, sorry, S2D2, just S2D2 VHD from this machine. So we will just replace it from the VHD from these machines. These are just empty placeholders for our operating systems, right? So we are removing the first disk, and we'll grab disks from the machines that are like in new S2D something, and we will add it into the machines. So let's check it. Go to settings. This one is replaced, and also the last one is replaced. It should be new S2D4, and it is. Great. So this is the result. So the next thing, just to make it interesting, is that we can mix the disks. So we will just shuffle the disks between the nodes, and This will just run 20 iterations where it grabs random two hosts and just switch two random disks. So let's do it, it will be fun. 20 iterations, changing disks. It will take a little bit time, but the result will be that we will be able to see that disks are randomly mixed as on this screenshot. So let's wait a little bit. Should be finished. It's now finished. So it will also start VMs. So what we'll do, we'll check the order. Interesting, this one is the same as it was, but others are shuffled a lot. See, there's like disk 11 from node 2, but also from node 3. So the next step will be to deploy this 4-node cluster, so I'll just modify a few variables. So we will remove this one, but we will also modify these 7 name prefix, cluster name, and cluster array updating role name. So let me do this. So in the lab config, we will say this will be new S2D prefix, will be cluster 1 and class 1 role name. So now I'll just wait for machines to start. And after these machines will start, I will run first, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. So I'll effectively configure cluster and create fault domains. I will skip enable cluster S2D and I will do it after I will start record again. So I will now pause it, pause the recording, and configure new cluster just by running these lines. So the script just finished. Now we will validate if the cluster was created successfully. So let's connect to the cluster. Let's browse. We have a new cluster, S2D cluster 1. We should be able to see that there are no roles. There are 4 nodes, as you can see. There is no storage. Oh, there are some cluster disks, right? Yeah, it's weird. It's offline. Spool, which is unknown. It was detected, right? Some physical disk. Okay, missing, becoming ready. Okay. No enclosures. So it's kind of weird, right? And some networks. As you can see, SMB network is configured well. Management network. So the very last step will be, or not very last step, but one step to work properly with the volumes and disks is to enable cluster S2D. So let's do that. We should see the pool become online. And also disks will become online. So let's see how it will go. So pool is now online, disks are healthy. Let's take a look on these ones. So disks are becoming healthy, and you can notice that it's in the available storage. You can see that we can see what is the volume name, but actually the mount point is not here. It's not in the CSV, it's just available storage. So we'll just wait for enable cluster S2D to finish. There is just one warning. This is coming from the cluster array updating role because I didn't script it to provide permissions of the cluster name object to this cluster array updating role in the ADE. So as you can see, there is just one warning, but it's quite okay. It's not a big deal. So restarting cluster health providers, health providers is a bit longer. This is happening since I don't know which update, like half year ago. But anyway, it will succeed in a minute or so. Let's see. And meanwhile, I'll explain you what we'll do next. So next thing what we have to do is we will have to find out which disk is which virtual disk. Therefore, we will just go and try to identify which one is mirror 1, which one is mirror 2, which one is mirror 3. And as we don't want to do this manually, I already wrote a script. So let me just go and copy this script and just paste it. So this script, what it will do, it will remove the available disks, available storage from the cluster, just to read the identifiers that will help us identify which virtual disk is what, and then editing it back, name it the same way as it would be if you would just freshly create it, and then rename the mount points to match the volume name. And then what we will do next is to import the VMs itself. So let's paste the script. As you can see, the cluster disks are being removed. Now we will go one by one. We will add it, and then after it will be added, we will rename it just to match the volume name. So this one is the mirror accelerated parity 4, for example. This one is mirror 1, and we will continue with others. So as you can see, it's now adding the nodes. The next step will be to rename the mount point. So let's try to S2D cluster 1, S2D 1, and dollar, and let's see if, oh, it's here, it's yeah, the mount points. There's only one. Oh, that's weird. Oh, now we are just adding it in the cluster shared volumes, right? So that's why we are just trying, that's why we are seeing only one volume here, because it's now being added to cluster shared volume. Unfortunately, as you can see, the mount points are still volume 1, volume 2, and so on. So the last step will be, or not the last step in this script will be to rename these mount points, and then what it will do, it will import all the VMs from all the volumes and the CSVs one by one, so we will see that the roles will be added. So last two volumes will be added, two cluster shared volumes. So mirror accelerated parity 3, and now it will be mirror accelerated parity 4. So after last volume will be added, then we will just go and rename these mount points. This script is just parsing the name. So instead of cluster virtual disks, I will just parse the first amount of characters, and then I will just strip the last one. So it will just figure out the name of the cluster storage itself, I mean mount point itself. There is a little bit sleep, just to be sure that everything is fine and that everything is working well, and then it will go and try to take a look where the virtual machines and start importing it one by one from every. As you can see, sometimes it has some errors, which is weird. So S2D1 is, okay, something is weird on the first drive, but I need to figure out what. This happens to me every time, but when you do it manually from the first volume, and then it works. So yeah, I don't know, something. So probably the first machines were not imported. Not really sure why, but yeah, let's see. It looks like it had a hard time to import first VMs from the first volume, so let's do it manually. Should not be a big problem, so let's do it now, just clicking one by one. No, not new one, let's import the virtual machine. Oh, it was some problem reading it or something. Probably I'll need to add there more sleep than 20 seconds. So let's do this and I'll just show it works. What you can do is you can have a portion of the script and just select first I don't know, 4, and then just import it. Or you can just do it manually, it doesn't take so much time, so it's like um, just a few clicks, right? It might complain. Actually, the GUI complains about our memory. That's because my host is like 1 gig of memory. So let's try this. Maybe it will work, maybe not. Let's see. What I can do, I can balloon the memory a little bit more by this trick. Um, so, so it will expand the memory on the S2D one. And now the importing of the machine should be quite okay. Let's try. Was it mirror 1, machine 2, right? Next, 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 and finish. It's better. So maybe it was just because I didn't have enough memory, so maybe what I will do, I will modify the amount of memory of the VM itself, how that hosts these VMs. Okay, we should have now all the machines, or at least soon we should have all machines. I guess script is now. Uh, okay, probably what we can do is to run the script again to import all the machines. We'll just skip the machines that are already there. Yeah, this is weird. Probably I had to balloon it, but I, yeah, but next time I will do this. It should complain that these machines are already existing, but the other machines should be, imported. So now it should be all the machines, right? So it's adding 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's fine. And let's add these machines highly available. We will again complain that several machines are already highly available, but let's see. Fine. Looks like it. Yeah, it's better. As you can see, there are several machines failing just because it was already highly available before. So basically this is it. So this was the last step. As you can see, everything is right. Probably the very last step would be to optimize the volumes. As if you will take a look here, these volumes are online, but actually if you take a look on the health state, oh, these are healthy, it's fine. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Maybe what you have to do is to just optimize the volumes, just to redistribute the slabs. But it's healthy. That's great. That's great to see. Awesome. So yeah, these red arrows don't apply. The don't. It's basically okay because this is just complaining that the machines were already there because this is the second time I'm running the script just to other machines that were not there before. So actually it's fine. I hope you enjoyed. Oh, actually, the last one, right? The last step. So you can just optimize the pool itself just by copying the script. As you can see, the optimized storage pool job is running. We can check this job by using this command just to check the job. And that's probably it. Now you can just sit down and watch what's happening. So this is it. It will take some time now, but now what you can do, you can just scratch the entire lab, just with cleanup because, you know, I'd like to see how fast this lab is to destroying all the environments. So yeah, I would like to destroy it and see you next time. And the machines are done. Goodbye.